everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about my labour and delivery with Harry. So if you haven't seen Harry before, and he has been in pretty much all my videos since he's been born, but this is Harry and he's wide awake. All the other videos I filmed with him, he's been asleep, but he's officially 2 weeks old. He turned 2 weeks old yesterday, and he's just had a feed, so he's wide awake. And yeah, I remember filming this with Ellie and her being 2 weeks, I believe. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm gonna get straight into it. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, my name is Katie. I have a 4-year-old daughter called Ellie and Harry, who is 2 weeks old. I had an emergency C-section with Ellie due to my waters breaking. I had to get induced and it failed, so I had to have an emergency C-section. This time around I wanted a elective C-section, so I was booked in for the 24th of November, but this little one decided to come a week earlier and surprised us all, didn't you? Yeah, you're looking around. What are you looking at? So basically the week before, on Saturday the 19th of November, we just got into bed, me and Paul, and I just felt like something was happening down there. So I stood up and my waters went, and this time it was different to Ellie. When my waters went with Ellie, it was just really little, and it wasn't like a massive gush or anything. It was I think part of my backwaters went with Ellie, but this time around there was so much of it that there was a puddle on the floor, and it just kept coming and coming and coming. So yeah, my waters went at around 11 in the evening. I rang up my hospital and they told me to come in and get checked. So luckily my dad was here because Ellie was in bed, and obviously I had childcare and everything sorted for Ellie for my planned C-section on 24th. But obviously all that went out the window, and luckily my dad was here to look after her while we went up to the hospital. And yeah, we went to the triage ward and they checked me and they said that it was definitely my waters that went. They also examined me as well, and I was 1 centimetre, but she said my cervix was long. So I was like nowhere near ready. And by this point I was having contractions. They were very mild. I could handle them, and they were coming, I'd say, every 6 minutes. They weren't frequent or anything. So she said to me, if I was to progress next time she examined me and say I was at 3 centimetres, would I like to go for a natural birth? And I said yes, because who wouldn't want to go for a natural birth? So I had my hopes up thinking, you know, I'm at 1 centimetre, I could possibly go for a natural delivery. And then around an hour later she came to check me and I was still 1 centimetre, cervix was long, and my contractions completely stopped. And she said this is pretty normal. Some labours do go like this. So she said, like, what do you want to do? And I said, personally I would just rather have a C-section, because firstly I don't know how long it's going to take. My induction failed with Ellie as well, so I said I'd like to just go with the C-section. So I was classed as an emergency C-section by this point because my waters went, but I was like category 3, and obviously there are more emergency people that go in front of you. So there was a lot of waiting about, and during the waiting about again I had no contractions, and we were just put in a room basically waiting, and I couldn't have anything to eat or drink, which was really hard. Yeah, there was a lot of waiting around, and at this point they were checking my blood pressure, getting me kind of prepped for the C-section. And then the doctors and the person that does the epidural, I cannot pronounce that word, but they all came up and saw me, got me to sign some paperwork, and just kind of told me what I was going to expect and what was going to happen. I think the main, like, longest bit was waiting for a midwife, because to go into the theatre you have to have a midwife with you. I had to wait until one of them was available on the labour ward, which was probably the longest. So 11 o'clock at night Saturday, my waters went, and I'd say we went into theatre the next day, Sunday the 19th, around 12:30, 1 o'clock. By this point I had all the, like, drips in me and everything, and then they took me down to theatre and Paul got changed into his scrubs, and then I went into theatre on my own to get the epidural, which I was really terrified. I don't know why, because I had it before, but for some reason I worked myself up about this one. And I was really nervous about the whole C-section in general, because the one I had with Ellie was horrific and really traumatic. I felt a lot of pressure, a lot of pulling, and it was just really uncomfortable. So I was kind of really stressing and having panic attacks about this one. So yeah, they sat me on this, like, table and done the epidural. The epidural went fine, it didn't hurt one bit. I think as long as you listen to the surgeons or whoever's doing it and just really focus and stay calm, then it just goes a lot smoothly. So I had my epidural, and then they laid me down and just kind of started prepping me. And then by this point Paul came in and I got really emotional. As soon as he come in I just started crying, and he was like, "Why are you crying? Like, what's happened?" And I was like, "No, nothing. I think I was just a bit scared, to be honest." I was so excited, obviously, because that was the moment I was going to meet him. But I was absolutely terrified at the same time. So I got really emotional, and yeah, they just started and they numbed me so quick. Compared to Ellie's. Ellie's took a lot longer for me to numb. Not sure why. And then they cut me open. Again, you don't feel anything down below because you are completely numb. And it literally took 10 minutes to get him out. And they allowed us to take some photos of Harry when he was pulled out, which was so nice of them. We never got to do that with Ellie, so I'll insert some photos. But this time around, this C-section was so much better than Ellie's. Like, I wouldn't say it was enjoyable, because obviously it's still an operation, but I found it really relaxing, and it was just really nice, and there was no pain. When they pulled him out, there was a tiny bit of tugging, but that was it. Just literally at the last bit when they pulled him out. Compared to Ellie's was horrific. Like, I couldn't breathe. I was so bad. But this one was so smooth, and they took him out, lifted him up above the curtain. We took some photos. He screamed his head off, and then they put him on me, which was just the best feeling ever. Like I said, I never got skin to skin with Ellie, and I struggled with that a lot because Paul was the first one to hold her. Yeah, so they stitched me up and you know, done the usual checks on baby. They weighed him. It's £6.3, which was a lot smaller than Ellie, and I think that's why it didn't hurt as much when they were pulling him out. Ellie was £7.9, and I am really petite and only tiny, so she was quite a big baby for me, and I think that's why I found it so painful. They also said that they were going to cut on the same scar, but they ended up doing another scar, which was a bit bigger. So that could be again why it wasn't so painful. With my scars, they look amazing. They've healed really well. I've kind of like just made sure I've taken care of them, and they've just done a really fantastic job on him. And they wheeled me to it's like a recovery ward. You're there for about an hour, and I had tea and toast, which was the best. I remember having it with Ellie because obviously they have to starve you. You're just so hungry and you just need a bit of energy, so that tea and toast was the best thing in life. And yeah, we got to have more skin on skin, and I think that was just like my favourite part of it all. I also tried breastfeeding at this point, and he had trouble latching on, and obviously I wasn't producing milk at this specific moment, so he was just so hungry, and we were struggling, so we did decide to bottle feed. And we bottle fed with Ellie as well, so yeah, he's currently bottle feeding. And then we went to the main ward that you like recover in, and obviously by this point you're still numb and can't feel a thing, so everything was all good. I wasn't in any pain, and then as the epidural wears off, that's when it does get more painful and a lot more harder to do things. This time around I just told myself, like, get up, get going, get moving, because I really struggled with Ellie, and I found the whole healing process quite hard with her, being my first, and I thought it'd be harder being my second baby, but the recovery this time around has been amazing. Like, so many people have said to me, like, you've recovered so well, you're healing really well. Oh, bless you. And I really do think that with Ellie it took me a good month to like just do things, and I found it really hard. I was really emotional and quite down, whereas this time around I feel completely different. I think because I've been through it before and I know what to expect, but I just kept on top of my medication, and like made sure my scar is nice and clean, and made sure it's not going to get infected. Obviously it is still very sore and painful, and I remember when they discharged me, I got discharged within 24 hours, and with Ellie I think I was discharged 2 or 3 days later. I remember when I got home I just wanted to cry because I was in a lot of pain. But luckily Paul has been off for 2 weeks, so he was literally doing everything. But yeah, it's been so much better this time around. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was because he was a smaller baby, but the whole C-section and recovery has been fantastic. And I remember telling my mum this, and she was just like, how can you find a C-section? Like, amazing. But it really was. He is a healthy baby boy as well. He's got a little bit of a cold at the moment, so he's not completely healthy, but when he was born he was healthy. And yeah, he's just such a content little baby. Ellie was quite a fussy, needy baby, but he's the complete opposite. And I mean, it's still early days, so everything could change, but yeah, he is very content, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yeah. He literally only cries when he's hungry or needs changing. I'm out of focus. So yeah, that is about my second emergency C-section and also my recovery. I did do a takeover on Channel Mum's Instagram if you'd like to see some photos, and I will leave all my social media down below as well to see some photos from the hospital. But yeah, I'm not taking any medication. I stopped on my second week, so it's been 2 weeks on now, and I'm feeling really good. A lot of people have said that I've bounced back like to my pre-pregnancy body as well. I still have obviously like a saggy stomach and all that stuff. I'll show you my belly 2 weeks on, and if you'd like any more updates on little Harry, please let me know, because I'd love to do a video all about him. You wide awake? He's feeding really well. He has 2 to 3 ounces every 2 to 3 hours, but he only wakes about twice a night, which is fantastic. And yeah, I'm literally on cloud 9 at the moment, and very happy he's finally here. Ellie absolutely adores him, as you've probably seen from all my videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions regarding C-sections and recovery, then let me know. I might film a question and answer video all about that. Let me know if you'd like to see any baby updates or any sort of other videos you'd like to see. And yeah, can you say goodbye? No. Yeah. This is my stomach 2 weeks after Harry. It's going to be really hard to show you because I'm on the bed. I'm not going to show you my scar, obviously. And I've got my high-waisted knickers on. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.